towards the team. The hearts is the back with you.
You okay?
I'm fine.
Oh, good. Yes, we're back with 1995 or 1996.
You mean the back?
We're back with this soundtrack called Dead Man. Very different type of release for Neil Young.
Just him and his electric guitar. Some tracks that are just part of the movie.
Yeah. It's a sort of an experimental release for him. It's actually released on his own label too, Vapor Records. This has nothing to do with Reprise Records. I want to say it's the first release on that label, which would end up going on for quite a bit. They end up signing a band called Acetone and some other sort of indie rock groups. But he also put out a few things like this himself.
Yeah, but okay, we cannot tell the tracks on this. Actually, I might remember them, but they are untitled on this.
That's right. They're all just kind of.
All it says on the record is side one.
Disc 2, side 1. What does it say there?
Oh,
9
well,
to 10.
when
9
you
and 10.
in other places you look it up, they're just referred to as guitar solo number 1, guitar solo number 2. They're
We saw
just
that.
Yeah,
that's
there
how
is
they-
guitar solos. Let's see if I can remember what each song is called, what people name them.
Well, we don't have to necessarily do that.
I'm just gonna see if I can remember.
Can we look at some of the art? 'Cause it's pretty beautiful packaging.
So there's guitar solo number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then there's I forgot one of them. There's
That's
Why
nice.
do hide themselves in clouds. There's organ solo, which let's talk about that organ solo, right?
Organ solo was what he used on Mirrorball.
Yeah, for Fallen
This is
Angel.
the, I guess,
Fallen
instrumental
Angel.
of that. And we're not really talking about this. So this is a soundtrack by Jim Jarmusch, or a movie by Jim Jarmusch.
Yes.
Jim Jarmusch.
And I will have
movie.
to say, one of my all-time favorite movies. Not just favorite, it is my favorite Jim Jarmusch movie. Jim Jarmusch. But it's
Jim
also one of my
Jarmusch.
favorite movies ever.
With Johnny Depp, you have, who else? Who other?
Was it Christian, what's the name?
Crispin Glover is in
Yes,
here. Iggy
Crispin
Pop,
Glover. Oh yeah, I forgot
By
he
the
was great
look
in
of
it.
this, you can
Gabriel
tell that
Byrne,
it's
Alfred
definitely...
Molina, John
By
Hurt.
the look at this, you can definitely tell that, no, it's not a kid's movie.
It's not a kid's movie. And it features Neil
Star-
Young. Go ahead.
Star Wars is, which I tried to do an impression of, like when people die in Star Wars at the beginning.
No. It's a solo guitar Neil Young album playing sparse chords, sparse notes, tons of atmosphere.
Yes, I remember that there's what's it called? There's there's a couple of guitar solos. There's one Nobody's Story. I remember that there's
Nobody is
So
the Native
nobody is,
American.
yeah, he's the indigenous man in the movie. But he goes by the name of Nobody. That's how he refers to himself.
These are all instrumental titles. What was referred to on that Wikipedia page is just things that people gave them to give it a name. But Neil Young intended it to have no titles. Do you see any no titles at all on this at all? No titles here. He wanted it. That's sort of like the way he wanted it to be presented.
Right, because it wasn't. I don't think they were supposed to. It wasn't supposed to be like songs, right? I mean, it was. It's kind of interesting to think
It's abstract.
about what you would think about it, Silas, because you obviously haven't seen the movie, and with Daddy and I, it's like it's part of the movie, right?
Yeah.
So for me, like this is just kind of like the fabric of the film. It's just part. It was
Yeah,
a
it
big
is.
part of the movie.
Because you haven't seen the movie, it's a little bit hard for you to understand. But basically, this is about listening to Neil Young's sort of create a mood, and he accentuates what's happening in the film, which has a lot of tension and things. But
But it's also very sparse. Like the
Super
movie's very
sparse.
sparse.
What do you mean?
Sparse is just like it's
spread out.
spread out and not much there. Like it's very subtle. Like the whole thing's in black and white, and the landscapes will be like like big stretches of open horizon, or and there's not a lot of talking. Be long stretches of silence. It's like, yeah, it's a very moody kind of movie.
Yeah, I envision Neil Young.
Movie kind of movie.
Moody movie.
Moody kind of movie. I envision him watching this and sort of playing along with it, but almost like he's filling in certain parts where he's supposed to go, but then letting there be silence at times. And you hear the sound on the soundtrack. You hear the sound of wind.
Oh yeah, the wind rustling through the prairie sound is amazing.
Yeah, wait, really?
In the beginning, you just hear the wind blowing through, like dry grass.
Yeah, he might not be actually using, like, what kind of recorder thing is he using?
I don't know. He's probably recording it on tape. If I had to guess.
Yeah, me too.
One thing of note: the movie starts and ends with an actual sort of song, what's called the Dead Man's Theme, which is not actually on this, but the song that is the theme, those fragments or those sort of motifs, I guess, are relayed throughout the soundtrack. You do hear it, but it's broken up.
Very expensive CD.
Yeah, we looked that up.
Yeah, there's a promo CD that they would have sent to like radio stations, and it's very valuable. That's the way you hear the full song, other than seeing the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Siley, one of the things.
Or on YouTube.
Silas, just to give you some context. So in the movie, it's talking about like a time in history, like before the United States was all the United States, and people were taking the train way out west, and there was mostly just open wilderness, and then the indigenous people that lived there, and they were just starting to build little towns, but so much of it was just wide open with nothing out there, just
Yes.
wilderness. And there, I think he's kind of, the setting was that, so the music is kind of in that vibe.
So what they call "Time for You to Leave" William Blake, right?
Mm-hmm. That's his character.
That's
I
this
think
guy,
that's-
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, his character's name is William Blake, and there's also a famous poet named William Blake, and the guy nobody thinks he's the poet at first.
Yeah, but the William Blake is like only a 51-second, another one of those piece things. Same with I remember there actually being the sound of crickets in what they called "Stupid White Men."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, part of the soundtrack is the sound of the environment that the characters are in is really part of the soundtrack too. And Neil Young's guitar is really sort of, it's almost just like another one of something else in the environment of
Yeah,
what you're hearing.
I mean, because like some of it sounds like a train moving. Some sounds like a creaky wood blowing in the wind.
It's really ominous and
The answer.
sort of just what he's doing is so simple, but it's not by any means sort of like boring or
What's this? A kayak or a canoe?
That's a canoe.
a canoe.
An old one.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, haunting, sort of mind-blowing soundtrack, I think.
Yeah, but what I thought is not what thought. I remembered that one of the guitar solos is 15 minutes long.
That's a long one.
I would like to give shakies on this. How about you?
Shakies, really?
Yep, it's time.
Okay. I will give this 8 shakies.
It's higher than I thought you'd give it.
You like it. You do like it.
Yes,
yeah.
I do.
I'm giving it 9 shakies. This is another side of Neil Young that you wouldn't expect to get in 1996. And I mean, I'd almost give it 10 in a way, but to not hear his voice. I mean, I want to hear Neil Young singing. Is really part of why I love Neil Young too. So, it's not like it's hard to compare it with his absolute best music.
Yeah, but you do say
in
you
terms of-
like it. You
I love it. In terms of what he does and what kind of mood he sets here, it's top notch.
Wanted, Johnny Depp.
Yep. So personally, I don't feel like I need to hear him sing on this. I don't think it's that kind of thing. But I'm also giving it 9 shakies. If I was going to put it like with the movie, I'd give it 10. But I think standing alone is its own piece. I'm gonna say 9 because it's not like I'm not. I mean, I actually have taken this out and put it on to listen to.
In terms
But-
of like grading it as an album, you
Yeah,
have to
it's
almost-
hard to give it a 10 because of that.
It almost maybe is weaker in a sense, but I think if you listen to soundtracks, I mean, that's kind of what you do with sound. There's usually can be snippets of the movie in it, and you have to be willing to say this is good without watching the movie.
Yeah, and I do feel like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Next, we will get to Crazy Horse again, Broken Arrow.
an album I have not heard 1 second of.
Me either.
Yeah, Broken Arrow. Not the song by Buffalo Springfield. Not the song.
And I thought it was a live album until
No,
we
no,
looked
it's
into
not
it,
a
but
live
it's
album.
a studio album.
All right.
Yes, but it is actually, it's another one of those double LPs, but I found out that it's actually less than 50 minutes.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Bye.
Bye.